What happens next? We've heard a lot about Joran van der Sloot over the years. It's a high-profile case, but it's also kind of by the book, you were saying.
It's by the book. It's going to be just like every other case. It'll be docketed. He's going to make an appearance tomorrow. I think they're likely to have an arraignment in which he'll plead not guilty. They'll either do that tomorrow or at some other point. Obviously, he will not get any kind of bond or anything like that, so that's not an issue. And once he has entered a plea of not guilty, which is what he will do, this case will move along the docket just like every other case. You will see he will get a lawyer, most likely the Federal Defender's Office, and then they will move into the discovery phase and motions that'll be filed. Remember, this is an extortion case. This is a fraud case. This U.S. Attorney's Office has done these cases time and time again over the years. So that's how this will move. He's now on Alabama soil. This is a federal case. It'll move like every other case.
And what kind of preparation is going to go in from the defense side once they start meeting with van der Sloot? What will they be looking to do over the next several months to get ready for trial?
Well, the first thing they're going to be doing is filing motions to get the discovery from the government. They want to know if they're the tape recordings, if they're tape recordings. They're going to want to know every piece of evidence that the United States has to offer that they've either used to get this indictment, that they will enter in trial, or however they can get their hands on it. So it's that discovery phase that's really going to let a group of lawyers who have never represented him before start to get the case. Then they'll obviously want to talk to him, get his side of the story, see how things are shaken out. But this is a case that they're going to really have to dig in on what the government gives them, because that's where the evidence is going to be.
How much could the disappearance itself of Holloway play into this case?
Well, it's obviously going to play a lot. The disappearance itself is going to play. Now, the facts of the disappearance and what actually happened may or may not play into evidence if they've got something to trial. Of course, prosecutors could cross-examine if he was ever to take the witness stand. But remember, this is a fraud case. This is an extortion case. So while that is an element, it's a part of this, the details of that are not the same as if you were proving a murder.
And real quick, with a fraud and an extortion case, how long do those typically last?
It depends. This case could be relatively simple because there was a very short period of time where there's communications and contact with Natalee Holloway's family. But it's going to depend on the extensiveness of any evidence that they've got. You know, the thing I think that folks are looking for here is that they just want to find out what happened. They would love to see. We may or may not know that. I'm hoping for the Natalee Holloway's family and for this community that that's something that we can find out one way or another. That's what brings the healing, not the closure.
Absolutely. Former Senator Doug Jones out with us this afternoon. Thank you so much.
My pleasure.
All right, Guy and Sherry.